back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be reacting to Mr. Nightmare 3 disturbing true fake cop horror stories. Bro, I don't know what the hell I would do in a situation whereby I'm approached by a fake cop, or I'm in a situation, bro, that is just crazy to me that some people go to that extent with doing criminal things or whatever, to a point whereby you're posing as a fake cop. So I'm really excited to be reacting to this video, guys. For those of you who are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, hit on the notification bell, guys. I would really appreciate it, and I really appreciate getting feedback from you guys. I really appreciate getting feedback, because it helps me to grow as a channel and as a person as well who is reacting to other people's videos. So today, like I said before, we'll be reacting to Mr. Nightmare. It's been a while since I've reacted to Mr. Nightmare, so I'm very excited to what this is about, you know. Already the title has me, so let's jump right into this video without wasting any more of your time, guys.
My parents own a vacation home in Quincy, California. It's a 2-acre property surrounded by woods. We would go there as a family all the time when my siblings and I were kids. Now that we're all adults, we don't really have aligning schedules to go together as a family anymore. But when I was in the early stages of talking to my girlfriend Rose, I told her about our vacation home on like our 5th date. In October, the leaves begin transforming to create stunning natural beauty in Quincy. I teased the idea of us spending a weekend there together, and she right away said let's do it. 2 days later, we were packing our things getting ready for the road trip to Quincy. I picked her up from her house, and off we went. The drive there was about 5 hours. We passed the time talking about everything in life, from TV shows to family to childhood memories. And then we'd listen to comedians and podcasts to pass some more time.
Honestly, this feels nice to me. Like, I love the scenery of that place. I would love to be in a place like that, just to distress. Of Also, I love being in a place whereby I'm by myself and I'm enjoying my time by myself. That place, it looks stunning, guys. I'm not gonna lie, that looks stunning. And for them to be going there together as a couple, I think that's just a cherry on top, because it's nice spending time with someone that you love. As he's saying, listening to podcasts, listening to music or whatnot, just being with someone you love in a scenery like that is just a bonus, bruh. Like, what?
When we finally made it to Quincy, we drove through the cute little village first because I wanted to show her how nice it was there. 10 minutes later, we were at the house. We have a little wooden fence at the driveway that we leave closed whenever the place would be vacant. It doesn't have a lock or anything. It's just a little deterrent for people to not enter the property while we're there. I got out of the car to open it, and then we drove past it onto the property. My dad has landscapers come every couple weeks in the summertime into the fall, so the property was very well kept when we were there. Rose was impressed. We were there just in time for lunch, so we unpacked, I gave her a tour, and then I turned the hot tub on so that the water would be hot enough for later. Then we went into town to go to one of my favorite spots to eat. When we finished up, we did a little sightseeing and went to the Plumas County Museum. After that, it was starting to get dark out, so we headed back to the house. We relaxed in the hot tub for a while. The hot tub was on the back deck under the awning. It was really cold out, but it felt nice in the hot tub, until we both could hear the crushing of leaves nearby, like footsteps. We thought it was a bear, so we both jumped out of the hot tub and ran into the house. I turned off all the lights inside and outside, thinking the lights could be attracting a bear or some wild animal. I peeked out one of the windows, expecting to see a bear, but instead saw the silhouette of a human being walking along the side of the house. I ran to the back door to lock it and shut the blind on the back door window. I told Rose to be quiet. The footsteps circled the house until they got to the front door, then stopped. After a moment of silence, there was a knock at the door, and someone yelled, "It's the police." We were confused. I went to the front and said,
Honestly, I would have freaked out the moment that I saw like a silhouette or this person just standing there. First of all, this is private property, right? It's private property, and there shouldn't be anybody there. So immediately there would be a red flag to me, like, what the heck are you doing out here in our private property and just standing there and walking around, bro? Like, there would be a huge red flag to me. And this person is now coming to the door and knocking and saying, it's the police. Bro, we didn't call any police. What are you doing here? What do you want? But then if someone says they're the police, you're gonna like you're gonna want to trust that person saying that he or she is a police officer, because it's what we're supposed to do, but then we don't.
Through the closed door. Is there a problem? The person on the other side said, we got a breaking and entering call. I asked, how's that possible? The nearest neighbor isn't for a quarter mile. There was a noticeable gap in his response. He said, I just need you to open the door, sir.
For
I
what?
responded, sorry, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I then thought to peep
Bro.
out the window and see if there's actually a cop car parked out front. I kinked the blind to the front just enough to see outside. It was twilight outside, dark but with enough brightness still to make out the property and see no police cars out there. I said to Rose, I don't think that's a real cop. The man outside knocked on the door again. I said through the door, I don't see a cop car out there, so I don't feel safe answering the door. The man didn't respond to anything to this. When there was another moment of silence, we thought he already walked away. A couple minutes passed and we were still in the living room talking to each other.
Bro, like, this guy is a failing whatever is failing in whatever he's trying to do. Because first of all, you're gonna say you're a cop, right? You must have a cop car, which is a good thing that this guy didn't actually open the door just because this guy said it's the police. For a good reason, because what the heck would you be doing out here? Yes, we heard his reason. He was like, there was a call, breaking and entering or whatnot. So I'm thinking this is what he wants to do. He wants to break and enter in, but he's failing like dismally to do this, because there's a gap in between his stories. He's like, he goes quiet and he's still thinking about what he wants to say. I'm actually like, I'm shocked as to why you, as a person who wants to break in, would knock on the front door in the first place and pretend to be something that you're not, hoping that someone is gonna open the door. Bro, people we've been through in these situations, the breaking and entering. It's like, us not trusting people is because you guys are the ones who put us in this situation whereby we be calling out from the inside and not even opening the door, because you be breaking and entering. Now we have trust issues.
Then heavy footsteps clomped away from the door. He'd been standing there still the whole time against our knowledge.
Imagine.
I went over to peek out the window again, but I didn't see anyone. He must have walked off a different direction from the house. The scary thought was the house is surrounded by woods. He could come from literally any direction. We were definitely not going back outside again that night, besides me going outside real quick to turn off the bubbles in the hot tub. And from there, we stayed in the bedroom watching movies and eventually went to sleep. I kept my dad's shotgun from the closet under the bed. The next day we went hiking in Pluma's National Forest. Then we went out to eat, and then we went to see a movie at the nearby theater.
You know, I'm actually glad that at least they do have protection. They do have like his dad's shotgun, even though it might be scary to use it, but at least they do have something that would make them feel secure. Because at this point, I'd also be like a little frightened. I'd also be like really a little frightened.
When we got back to the house, it was getting dark out. We pulled onto the property, and Rose screamed, "Oh my God," and I damn near swerved the car thinking I was about to hit something. I slammed on the brakes and said, "What?" She pointed at someone quickly walking away from the house towards the woods until they disappeared into the darkness. I tried to keep Rose calm when she started freaking out that someone's stalking us. I told her it's fine, we have a gun, and we're leaving tomorrow morning anyway. I was kind of scared too, though. I pulled the
As
car
you
as
should
close as
be.
possible to the house, then we quickly went inside. I did a quick run around of the house, making sure every door and window was locked. We didn't go outside again that night. We packed our things to be ready in the morning, and then went to the bedroom for the rest of the night. After watching a movie, we went to sleep. Around that time, I started hearing this weird scraping sound coming from outside. It happened every few seconds, and then it would stop for a few seconds. I couldn't make out what it was, but something was going on out there.
I feel like I'm. It's not that I feel like I'm also a light sleeper, right? Um, as I am a light sleeper, it's I don't know. I think it's weird. I think that it's weird, but it happens. Like you're sleeping, but then you're hearing this noise, and it's like you're still in a dream, but then you're not. You're trying to figure out what's this noise that you're hearing. So I feel like this is what is happening with this guy. Is like he's hearing the scraping noise. He's still trying to figure it out. He's sleeping, but at the same time, it's happening. So you're contemplating with yourself, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening. So for like for real though, for people who have not experienced break-ins or seeing like a person outside your house or your home or whatever, that shit is scary. It is so scary to know that someone is just lurking outside or they're trying to break in. I swear to God, it leaves you traumatized. I feel like we don't talk about how much trauma we experience from those situations, but we do. We really be traumatized after that. So I understand exactly how they're feeling with this situation.
I feared that person may have came back. I waited until the noises stopped completely before quietly getting out of bed to not wake up Rose. I walked to the window, kinked the blinds just a bit, and found myself face to face with a man on the other side of the window trying to look in. He definitely saw me. I fell backwards and screamed, "Jesus Christ." Rose woke up. I didn't say anything though. I grabbed the shotgun from under the bed and made sure it was loaded before running out the back door and shooting it into the air while screaming like a madman, trying to scare off that man and whoever else could have been out there. I think I fired 3 shells into the air before going back inside. Then I explained to Rose what happened. In a strange way, I felt a nice adrenaline rush after going outside and doing that. Maybe that was partly why I felt so confident that whoever was outside wasn't coming back. The adrenaline eventually wore off, and when we were back in bed, I was scared once again of hearing any kinds of sounds from outside. We made it through the night, and the next morning I did call the police just to file a report on the whole thing. My family and I have been back there a few times since this story, and thankfully that guy never came back. At least while we were there.
What the hell, guys? Like, imagine going to a window and you trying to look outside and you come face to face with someone who you do not know, who's in your property. Eh, Bro, that would be a scary situation. I would also like jump back and then be like, what the fuck? Or what? Oh my, what? How do you even react to that? I feel like he reacted in a proper way, like going out there and threatening and shooting that gun 3 times, like showing how not scared he is, even though he is scared. Because like you're supposed to be a guy, you're supposed to you're supposed to protect the person that you came with. So you're supposed to show how fear how you're not fearful of this entire situation, even though you are. But that, bro, that is crazy. I would have been that is mind blowing, bro. Like what?
I was driving through Colorado in the middle of the night. I was in Tabernash at this point, and it must have been like 1 a.m. I stopped to get some gas and grab a snack at a gas station. After that, I got straight back on the road. Though there weren't any cars on the road at this hour, especially not the roads I was on, I still obeyed the speed limit because it was late, I was tired, and you never know where a cop could be hiding. I was going around 55 on this winding road, and all of a sudden, that dreaded flashing of lights appeared in my rearview mirror. I looked in my mirror and saw the car behind me with the flashing white and red lights.
At
So I
least
pulled
this
over,
is
but not before
promising.
looking at my speed and confirming that I was only going maybe 2 miles per hour over the speed limit. I pulled onto the side of the road, and so did the vehicle behind me. I was beyond annoyed. I'd never been pulled over before at the time, and I'm always a cautious and careful driver. I immediately felt like I was being pulled over unlawfully. As the officer stepped up to my car, I lowered the window, and he greeted me, asking for my license and registration. I tried to act like I know my rights and would not just bend over backwards for him. So I asked, "Is there a reason you pulled me over?" He said he'll get to that in a minute. I told him I know I wasn't speeding or swerving and none of my taillights are out, so I don't want to hand you my license if this is an unlawful stop. Then I took a look at his uniform. It looked off. He was in all black with a black vest on that resembled a police vest, but his vest didn't say police anywhere on it. His badge didn't say police either. It said criminal task force. He kept insisting for my license and registration, and I actually just flat out asked him, "Are you an actual cop?" He replied, "I'm part of the undercover unit." Then he asked for my license again. I asked him for his badge number. He said he didn't have to give that to me. I knew enough about traffic stops to know that was a lie. I also took note that his lights were only red and white, lacking blue. I wasn't 100% sure if this could be an indicator of a fake police officer, but along with everything else, it only made it more suspicious. The man started asking me to get out of the car. I said, "Respectfully, I'm not comfortable talking to you until you can get a supervisor here." He raised the volume of his voice and his tone got more assertive as he repeated for me to get out of the car. I replied, "I don't think you're a real cop. If you are, you wouldn't have a problem getting your supervisor here." I rolled up the window a bit, and he didn't like this. He yelled at me to open the door as he put his hands on my window and tried unlocking the door. I pushed his hands off as I started the car and put it in drive. I heard him shout stop as I started flooring it away from him. My heart was racing, and by God, I was hoping I was right or I was going to jail. But at the same time, hoping I was right that this man was impersonating a cop showed just how terrifying of a situation I was in. As I was driving away, going the speed limit, I saw the car behind me with the lights on fast approaching. I did the only thing I could think to do, and that was to call 911. I told her on the phone that I was being chased by someone who I believed to be a fake cop. I said he refused to give his badge number, his car was unmarked and didn't have blue lights, and his uniform didn't say police. After asking my location and more details on the situation, I told her that I was being chased by this person. The woman told me the nearest police station for my location, which was the Fraser Winter Park Police Department. She requested I go there, and she would be dispatching an officer to meet me there. The guy in his car was following me halfway to my destination with his lights still on, but suddenly when we got to an intersection,
Bro, like, I feel like, guys, I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry about the messages that I keep getting. My gosh. I feel like this guy did a great thing. He reacted as great as you can react in such a in such a situation. Sorry about that. He followed his instinct, and that's great. In this case, because he saw this guy and he was looking at his uniform, and it looked weird. It didn't match like how a cop should look. This person was resisting to show him things that are important when you are dealing with the person of law, right? So I feel like he did great, from not wanting to bend over backwards for this person, for not wanting to give him what he wanted, for everything that he did. I feel like he reacted great, and this is, I'm so happy about this. Even though he was like scared, he may go to jail for for resisting a cop, but he still followed his instinct, and his, I feel like his instinct is right, since we are reacting to this video, which is a true fake cop horror story. Bro, you did great.
he turned his lights off and turned right, driving off out of view. He was gone, and with that, I realized that my suspicion was true the whole time. I was pulled over by a guy pretending to be a cop. I still drove to the police station, where there was a cop sitting in his car in the parking lot. I pulled in, and he got out, seemingly knowing it was me that he was meeting right away. From there, I told him every last detail of the encounter, the guy's face, his car, and what intersection he turned right at. He took down my contact information, I'm guessing in case I'd need to be called in to identify the guy. After a few minutes, I was on my way. I'm glad I trusted my intuition and didn't get out of the car.
I'm also
I
glad.
can only imagine where things would have went from there.
We don't know. We really don't know. Silver Stallion. What?
I'm 29 years old. I live alone in my house in a small town in Michigan on the weekends. I come here to escape from the city lifestyle that I spent most of my life growing up in and am sick of. I like being in a quiet, rural area, but my house and property is the kind of place horror movies are usually set. A house with a big property and the neighbors not right on top of you. You don't hear of too much crime usually in my town, but that's because the population is relatively low. I don't have a lot of friends in the area, but that's not why I come here anyway. I come to be alone and escape my stresses from work and people in general during the week. One Friday, shortly after arriving at the house after my drive, I got a knock at the door. I opened it to a guy with a clipboard. Immediately, I knew he was selling something. He asked me if I was content with my security system. I said I don't have one, but I'm not really interested, and I made a joke that no one's breaking into this ugly house. He then went on his pitch, telling of all the recent break-ins in the area that, quite honestly, I had not heard about. He then asked who I live with, and I said I live alone, so I don't really need it. He was persistent, though. He asked me to at least give him my phone number, and he'd circle back in a couple of weeks to see how I'm feeling.
I don't understand. I don't understand this question. Why would a person ask you who do you live with? Why would you ask me that? It's crazy to me. Why would you ask me that unless you want to do something? You
Offered to waive the installation fee. On the spot, I figured why not? That actually sounded pretty good. So I gave him my number. He thanked me and left. After that, I went to the kitchen to start making dinner, and then I resumed watching Yellowstone in the living room. I was on a binge, so I was watching episode after episode for hours on the couch. It was at about 11 o'clock at night that there was a knock at the door. 11 o'clock at night is beyond the appropriate hour to knock on anyone's door, especially around here. I'm not super close with the neighbors, so I wouldn't assume it to be one of them. I ignored the knocking and kept watching my show. The knocks persisted, though. I still didn't get up. I wasn't answering the door at 11 p.m. No way. I stayed seated. But when there was a third set of knocks at the door, I grew concerned. They weren't leaving. I went to the door to ask who's there. There wasn't a reply from the other side. This is exactly how a horror movie would start out. I wasn't going to open the door to find out who was on the other side. I said through the door, I'm not interested in whatever you're selling me. I have a gun that I'm not afraid to use. I don't actually have a gun, but it's an easy enough threat to get someone to go away. I thought that did the trick because the knock stopped.
Oh.
I went back to the couch.
What?
Then someone started calling my cell phone. The caller ID said 911 Emergency Services. I'd never received a call from 911 in my life, and I didn't even think that was a thing. I always thought that if the police called you, it would say no caller ID or something. I picked up the phone, and a man on the other line asked, "Is this George?" To which I said yes. He said, "This is the police department. We have officers outside your house right now. There's been a report of a crime on your block, and we have some questions to ask you." This didn't feel right at all.
At all.
I asked the alleged 911 operator to ask the police to go to the window so I could identify them before opening the door. He said he can't do that. They're already outside my house, which made no sense. I said, "I don't answer questions, sorry," and hung up the phone. Even if it were the real police, I had no legal obligation to answer the door anyway.
Yes.
But this was screaming trap in every sense of the word. They tried calling me again with the same number. I denied it and put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I actually decided to call 911 and ask if these calls are legitimate. And right away, the 911 operator said it's absolutely not real. And coupled with the fact that someone was at my door, they advised I lock all the doors, grab something I could use as a weapon, and wait inside until a police officer arrives at my house. While I was on the phone with her, I heard the back doorknob being shimmied with, and someone trying to push the door open. They then apparently tried ramming or kicking the door down because there were these super loud bangs on the back door. I told the operator this, and she said the police will be here in less than 10 minutes. I needed them now, though. I went to the door and screamed, "Do you want to get blown up?" And there was a yell on the other side saying, "It's the police, open up," followed by another ram or kick into the door. The back door is next to a window, unlike the front door. So I looked out the window, and I saw two masked men attempting to kick down my door. When I say mask, I mean they had these disturbing looking sacks on their heads. It looked like they had eye and mouth holes cut out. They saw me looking through the window, and I guess they saw me on the phone. They must have realized I was on the phone with the actual police, and they took off into the darkness. About 5 minutes later, there was a knock on the door from the actual police. I let them in. One of the cops was very helpful, and he went as far as to search my entire property. The two cop cars out front with their lights on for half an hour was surely a deterrent for anyone to come back to the house. After the cops left, I noticed one of the cop cars stayed in front of my house for hours. I'm sure they left at some point in the night. I'm done opening the door to anyone unannounced, though, because I'm 99% sure that guy who was claiming to sell security systems was just scoping out the best house to target, and him and his squad were spoofing 911 calls to get people to open the door late at night. I went to my closest neighbors to ask them if the guy knocked on their doors too. They said no. For some reason, my house was the only one on this street targeted for this. I
Why
guess I was the
though?
first house they tried, and I seemed like an easy target.
Bro, like, what the hell? People, what? People are really busy out there, hey? They really have time on their hands. They call it hustling. They really have time on their hands because when they came to him and were selling security or what things, I guess they were just asking if this guy has one, you know, just so that they can be able to break in without any form of security for him. um the 911 call is crazy to me. Like, how the heck do these people pull this shit off, you know? How do they pull these things off? They're really serious about this. It's getting out of hand. People breaking in. They're not even afraid that you're inside, so they see you as an easy target that they can put down and do whatever the fuck they want in the house. It's crazy. It is crazy. So people should really lock their doors. It's important to lock your doors at this point, because what? I'm not even sure why I'm surprised, because they break in while we're in the house. They take stuff while you're in the house, so they're not afraid of you. They're not afraid of what you're gonna do to them. You just a mishap in whatever they're doing. But I'm glad that these people were smart enough to call the police, the actual police, and confirm what they are going through. Like this person calling 911 to ask if is it possible that operators 911 operators they call a person themselves. What? But I'm glad that nothing happened, that these people they got out safe and sound. I really enjoyed reacting to Mr. Nightmare's video. So guys, please, for those of you who have not subscribe, like, comment, and hit on the notification bell, guys, so that you'll be able to see every time I